Hey y'all, it's Bethany here. Welcome back to my channel, Bethany Brings Books. Today I'm going to be trying to wrap up the end of the year, talk about the last few books I read at the end of the year, maybe chat about my goals for 2025 and reading plans for January. We'll see. Not sure yet what all it's going to be on here, just depending on how long-winded I get, but let's dive in. So first of all, I just want to show y'all this cutest little mug that my sister-in-law, she gifted me like the cutest gifts for Christmas. I need to show y'all the ornament. She made an ornament she painted it with a goose like this on it. It was so cute. It's on my tree. I'll try to show it to y'all in another video, but this little mug, she thrifted this and I love it so much. Like, thrifted gifts are the best. I love it. Another goose to add to my collection. So, let's wrap up the end of the year, guys. It is a new year. It is January the 3rd, 2025, and I have enjoyed the last week, actually. I have just kind of tried to slow down, tried to write out some goals for the new year, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but I have enjoyed the past week just trying to plan ahead. I'm not a planner, and it is really to my detriment. It has really gotten me in trouble at times, and I know I could get so much more done if I would plan ahead. And so this year I'm trying to be more intentional in my plans with my reading, and like there's certain books that I'm trying to like write some list of certain classics I want to read, certain nonfictions I want to read, and just be more purposeful in some of the things that I'm planning for this new year, because like I said, I've not been a planner, and I really need to be. I really need to work on that. It would help me get so much more done. So we'll chat about that in a little bit, but first of all, let's just talk about the last few books I read toward the end of the year. And this book I read in November, and I have not really talked about it on here yet, but We Redeemed the Rain by Ashley Dill. Now, I did mention that her book, The Blooms That Broke Us, is like my top book of 2024. It was on my number one list. It was number one. Amazing book. So this one came out in November. I think it was in November, and I ordered it and read it in November. And this book is a heart wrencher, y'all. Ashley, I am at the place in my life that I love stories that are emotional. And I think it's just, I relate to them a lot more. Like, used to, I was not about sad stories, but over the past 4 years, I've walked through some really hard days. And so I connect with emotional stories now at a deeper level. I really like a good emotional story, and Ashley knows how to write it. This story, it's very emotional. It follows B. Thompson and Samuel Taggart. And so B is a musician who she's kind of trying to figure out the next step. She's trying to decide if she wants to really push her career forward or slow down and go a different direction, and like what her plans are going to be. So she decides to take a little break, and she ends up on the ranch of a childhood friend. So there was her family vacation on this ranch when she was young, and she met a young boy there, and they became pen pals, and they rode each other for like several years, and then just stopped all of a sudden, and she never really knew what happened. She just knew they quit riding. And so she's brought back into his life, and he has a lot of trauma, that he's dealing with, and so that is very emotional in these pages. And it's just their story, their relationship, him dealing with the trauma. He has like kind of hidden himself away on this ranch, and now she's this ray of sunshine that comes onto the ranch and begins to restore his faith, I guess, in people. And it was a very beautiful story. I gave it 5 stars. It's not, for me, it was not as impactful for me personally as Blooms. Like, Blooms is just probably one of my all-time favorite books. But this one was very powerful as well. There was a couple of things. I gave it 5 just because I enjoyed it, and towards the end, there were some parts that I really enjoyed. But, so let's just talk about what I liked. I love how Ashley writes her characters. I love how she brings just all the emotions, all the pain and the heartbreak, but the slow healing. So Tag, his name is Samuel Taggart, and they call him Tag, but he has some trauma that involves childhood sexual abuse, and there's nothing on page. Like, you don't see anything happening on page, but you just realize that he dealt with childhood sexual abuse. And this is something that has, not only that, but just his mom, the way her issues and stuff. He has a lot of baggage and a lot of trauma. And he likes to write, though, and like, he has a beautiful way with words. And so he and B begin to reconnect through this story, and it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful. Now this one had a lot more language than her last book I read. It's all mild language, but there was quite a bit more, which I did not like. That's like my biggest complaint with this, is that there was quite a bit of language, like, all throughout the book, and it was mild, like I said, but still, I did not like it. I did not like that. I feel like there was too much language. And I understand, like, you're dealing with characters with very traumatic history, so I understand that it's probably realistic, but as someone who doesn't like language, I didn't like that. There are a lot of beautiful parts to this story. There's a lot of, Ashley just has a way with words. She writes in a way that's so readable. There are a lot of good quotes. I could say so much about this, but there is also a side character in here that I am hoping we will see his story in the next book. Like, there was a little scene she wrote, and I have reread that scene several times, of this side character. It's actually Tag's brother, and there's something that happens in that little scene, and Tag is like, what did he just do? And I don't know, that little scene, it just broke my heart for his brother, and I'm like, I really need to see his brother's story. But yeah, Ashley just knows how to write so good. Like, she writes so well. I feel like there were some parts of this that could have been shortened, and other parts I wish I saw more of. So, for example, towards the end of the book, we hear, like, briefly mention, even in the epilogue, some of the issues he had from the trauma, and like how he's learning to heal from that. And I kind of wish I would have liked to see a little bit more of that, of the healing. Ashley knows how to kill my heart with these stories. She's like one of my all-time favorite authors. Love her books so much, and just know if you go into one, you're probably going to cry like a baby, and she's probably going to tear your heart out. This one was so good. There's so much more I could say, so many more thoughts I have, but I've got to move on, or this video is going to be way too long. I also reread A Christmas Carol. I reread that one in December. Me and Jess over at Pages and Grace Buddy read this. Loved it. Again, I have a whole review talking about it, and just talking about my thoughts over the holiday season, and over A Christmas Carol, and some of the movie adaptations and stuff. That video actually has not gotten a ton of views, so if you want to go watch it, go watch it. I talk about more than just A Christmas Carol. I kind of chat about past Christmases and stuff. So anyway, I read that one. I read A Christmas Carol. Again, loved it. I feel like I was able to grasp it better this time around, because last time I had not read as many classics when I read it, and so this time I was able to really just grasp it better, because I've read more classics, and so the language was a little bit more familiar. Really enjoyed it a lot. Like, I loved it. I think I could read it every year. I loved it so much. So I was excited about that one. And then I also finished the Hudson collection by Jocelyn Green. This is the second book in her, what series is it? On Central Park series. Read the first one earlier this year. Last year. I read it last year. This one is, we follow Elsa Reisner. She is an let me see the word, ornithologist, I don't know how you say it. It's someone who studies birds, I think. She works at the American Museum of Natural History, and she's been asked to go and catalog the collection of this. There's like this huge mansion on the Hudson River that the couple has passed away, and they left their collection of stuffed birds and things like that to the American Museum of Natural History. And so she has been tasked with going there and like collecting, seeing what the museum can use, and tagging them and everything. And while she's there, she encounters a man who is also working on the estate. He is salvaging, they're going to tear the estate down, so he's salvaging the interior, the library, the walls, and the like the shelves and the doors and stuff like that, like the interior architectural elements. And he has some scars. He's been in the war, and so he's kind of has some scars from that. And this is set in the 20s, so it's from World War One. They've been through World War One, and Elsa and I think it's Luke. They slowly begin to develop a relationship. Elsa is also kind of trying to figure out this. She's trying to find this hidden medieval aviary, which is like some kind of medieval birding book. She's trying to find that, like as a side twist to the story. Elsa is also dealing with some of the after effects of polio, her history of polio. So she's having some issues with that. There's all these little storylines going on, and I enjoyed it. I love the American Museum of Natural History and just her job description and seeing like all of those details. That was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to give it 3.5 to 4 stars. I just find that for me, Jocelyn Green's characters, I struggle with her characters. There were interesting aspects, but I think it's more like their interactions with each other and their dialogue. I feel like sometimes the way they talk to each other is just not realistic, in my opinion. I don't know how to explain it. I just her characters to me are a little bit dry. I feel like we get the depth of emotion from them that I really want to. And then there were just some aspects of the story that felt very like stick a band-aid on it and it's all better. That's my complaint with her. I enjoyed the story. I want to read the third one, but she's one of those authors that I don't think I would buy her books because I know I'm not going to read them again, but I enjoy reading them. I really enjoy the plot and or the setting and the idea of the story. I felt the same way about the first one. The characters themselves fall flat for me. They're kind of dry and not as, I don't know, I just don't get into their heads like I really want to and see the emotions, and just sometimes their interactions with each other I don't jive with. But anyway, if you like history, this one is delightful for someone who loves history. I'm going to briefly mention this. I had talked about this in another video. I did not finish this book, y'all. I got sidetracked in December, was reading other stuff, had a busy month, and I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to take it back to the library maybe next year. I really have to be in the right mood because they're not super captivating or anything. So I kind of have to be in the mood for it, and I have just lost interest. So I'm not going to be finishing this one. Also started A Yorkshire Carol by Jennie Goutet. Now, I love Jennie Goutet's writing style. If you're looking for someone who really, really, really is comparable to Austen, I think she is perfect. She writes very sweet stories. Her writing style, though, is very, like, the language and stuff, she just is on point with the dialogue, and the language feels very Austen-esque, very true to the time period. But also readable and really enjoyable. This so far has been just a sweet little story about this couple who are throwing this gathering at their estate, and they've invited all these different people for Christmas, and we are seeing the main young lady she has been in London for a while now, and she's from Yorkshire, and she's going back for this party, but she's kind of reluctant about it. Like, she is all about the excitement of London. And in Yorkshire, there's a young man that she grew up with who kind of had a thing for her in the past, but she rebuffed him and was like, no. She was just kind of like, she was all about London, and he's a Yorkshire man, and they're being brought back together at this party, and I think we're going to see how their relationship is probably going to develop. And it's just, I think it's a fun look at a Christmas during this time period. We're hearing talk about the games that they're having at the party and the things that they're doing, and it's like a month-long celebration, and the food and all of that. And so I have slowed down on reading it. I've been reading some other things, but this one is, I'm enjoying it. It's just, I think it's a really good book for this time of year. Well, it's after Christmas now, but it's a really good Christmas book. And I'm going to try to go ahead and finish it because I have gotten a good ways into it. I've gotten like about that far. So I do want to finish it. And it's also very pretty, y'all. Look at I love how a lot of indie published books have these really pretty pages in them. So looking forward to finishing this one and chatting about it. Also read most of this. I am like right here. I need to finish it. I have like that much. I'm going to try to finish it, and then I'll talk about it later. It's just a collection of different little stories and poems. There's an excerpt in here from one of the Little House on the Prairie books, a Christmas excerpt, and it's been cute overall. And I'm going to try to finish it, even though the holiday season's over. I want to finish it, so I'm so close to the end, and I'll chat more about it then. I want to mention my Advent study. Y'all, I loved this study. Worthy the Lamb is the Lamb from Well-Watered Woman. I loved how it was laid out. Most of the time I did have to catch up. I didn't finish it till after Christmas, and actually there's still one lesson that I need to do, the very last one, or December 27th. I've done like the weekend, or the last weekend reflection and all of that, but I love how it's laid out. I loved how it just put my eyes on Christ throughout. You know, they went through various portions of the Old Testament, showing how these different situations were pointing to Christ in each of these, you know, in Noah's life and in Abraham's life and in David's life. They may have been substitutes at the time, and they may have, you know, they had their roles at the time, but ultimately it was pointing to Christ, and I just thought that was beautiful. Even sometimes just they would ask a question and you'd write the answer, and then you'd be like, oh, that's why this connects to that. And it was like a simple question, but when you wrote out the answers, you realized, oh, they're connecting this back to this. And so I love that. I felt it was very well done. I enjoyed the commentary overall. I like how on the weekends they would just have this one page, so you had like Saturday and Sunday, you could just read this and then take the time to catch up on some of the ones you might have missed. And yeah, it also went through the end of December, which I also liked. It didn't stop on Christmas. I would highly recommend this, y'all. I want to order more from this company. I do have I think it's Christ in the Covenants, or talking about the covenants of Christ, and it's like a spiral bound study. I'm looking forward to doing that one at some point. But yeah, I would highly recommend this company, and very good quality in my opinion, and I really enjoyed it. So that is everything that I have finished. Now one of these I did finish this in the past few days, so technically in 2025, and that was the Hudson collection. But yeah, those are some of the things I read over the end of the year. So let's chat for a few minutes about my goals. So I had some goals in 2024. I don't even know. Like, I feel like I'm not a huge artistic person when it comes to reading journals like a lot of people are. This year I've done a little bit, been working slowly and doing a little bit better, trying to improve each year. So, and I feel like usually towards August I kind of check out when it comes to the journal. I don't write in it. But let's just see what my goals were. So, read my Bible every day, read 20 classics, read 2 parenting books, read 1 Shakespeare, read 4 Christian nonfiction, read 12 Nancy Drew books, and 24 books in 2024. So, the first goal, read my Bible every day. I I did not read my Bible every single day. I can say that honestly, and I'm sorry, I'm like ashamed of that, but I did do a lot better with my Bible reading. I made myself a couple of highlights on Instagram where I could go on each day and document that I read, you know, what I read. I would take a picture of what I read, and sometimes if I had thoughts, I would share them on my stories about what I read. And so I enjoy doing that because it helped me be more accountable, and also just if I had thoughts, I enjoy sharing some of the thoughts about my reading for the day. And so I'm trying to do that again this year. Read 20 classics. I read 16 classics, so I feel like that was a really good. I read 12 and reread 4. For me, I feel like that was a great achievement. I have another video talking about the classics that I read. I ranked all of them, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And I'm already so excited about the classics that I want to read in this new year. So I should have another video coming out talking about that soon. It may be on my goals video, I'm not sure yet, but yes, looking forward to reading more classics this year. Read 2 parenting books. I did not read any. Well, I read one. So I started 2. There was one I started, I read a little bit in it, and then I never finished it, and I actually was enjoying it, and I just got busy and didn't finish it, so I want to go back to that one. And there was another one that I almost finished, and that was when I read slowly. It was like question and answer format, and it was more so about just answers about questions your kids and teenagers may ask about God and like just some of the big questions in life, and answers for that. It was by Chuck Colson, so I did almost read that. But as far as completing 2 parenting books, I did not do that. Read 1 Shakespeare. Did not. I really want to do it, but I just did not get to it last year. Read 4 Christian nonfiction. I read 2 Christian nonfiction. I read a book on grief, and then I read the book with Christ, The Ministry of Intercessory Prayer by Andrew Murray. Both were really good, but did not meet that goal. I really want to read more nonfiction. That's going to be something I talk about in my goals video. And then read 12 Nancy Drew books. I kind of just threw this on there because for some reason I felt like I didn't have enough goals. I don't even think I read a single Nancy Drew book, so we're just not even going to talk about that. And then 24 books in 2024. My kids picked out 24 books for me to read at the beginning of last year, and I think I read maybe 6 of those books. I did not do very well with that. I did not. I started out fairly decent, and then I just kind of went downhill. I think I read 6 or 7 of those books. So, yeah, that was kind of a fail. But, hey, it is what it is. So, I think overall I had a really good reading year. I read about, I think, a little over 100 books. Now, according to Goodreads, I read a little over 100. Probably around 103 or something. But I will say probably at least 30 of those were kids' books. I probably read maybe 70. So I feel like I had a fairly decent reading year. I am hoping to do better this year. I have quite a few goals. I'm trying to be, like I said at the start of this video, I'm trying to be much more intentional in this new year. So I'm going to do a separate video I'm going to talk about my goals for 2025. I'm going to talk about my reading plans for January. This video is already getting a little long, so we'll talk about that in another video. And anyway, that was my goals. That's how I did. I feel good about 2024, and I'm looking forward to 2025. So thank you guys for watching. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.